Can I increase my pension with contributions from my previous periods of employment? The answer is yes. In some cases, if you separated from service from a UNJSPF member organization and then started a new contract with the same or another UNJSPF member organization, you could increase your future pension benefit by adding contributions from previous periods of work. Where allowed, this is done through the so-called validation or restoration of your pension rights. In addition, acquired pension rights may be transferred from or to an organization that is not a UNJSPF member organization, if there is a transfer agreement between that entity and the UNJSPF. Let's explore these options. What is validation? Validation is the option to make previously non-contributory service pensionable by paying for the corresponding contributions. If you are a staff member of a UNJSPF member organization and participant in the fund, but were not immediately eligible to participate in the fund, for example, because your initial staff contract was of less than 6 months, you can opt to make that prior service period pensionable, meaning part of your contributory service in the fund. You can apply via the Validation tab in your UNJSPF Member Self-Service or MSS account, or in writing by submitting Form PENS B1, which can be downloaded inside your MSS account or from the fund's website. Once the fund confirms you are eligible to validate, they will let you know how much validation will cost you, and you can decide whether to proceed. If you do, your employing organization will have to pay their share of contributions for that period. It is important to remember that there is a strict 12-month deadline to apply for validation, counting from the date you joined the fund. What is restoration? Restoration is a mechanism to add contributory service from a previous participation to your current participation. There are 2 distinct kinds of restoration, depending on whether you took a withdrawal settlement or elected a deferred retirement benefit when you previously separated from service. Let's look at them. If you received a withdrawal settlement when you separated from service, you can buy back the prior contributory service for which you had received the withdrawal settlement by reimbursing to the fund the full amount you had received, plus compound interest. With this option, all of your prior contributory service will be reactivated, combined with your current contributory service, and credited to your current participation, increasing your future benefit. To apply for this kind of restoration, use the Restoration tab in your UNJSPF Member Self-Service or MSS account, or submit a PENS C1 form, which can be downloaded from your MSS account or from the fund's website. Once the fund confirms you are eligible to restore, they will let you know how much restoration will cost you, and you can decide whether to proceed. If you elected or were deemed to have elected a deferred retirement benefit when you separated from service, and that benefit is not yet payable, then the restoration options open to you depend on the date of your election. If you elected or were deemed to have elected the deferred retirement benefit before 1 April 2007, then you can fully restore the prior contributory service linked to this deferred benefit. This means your deferred benefit would be cancelled, and you would receive the full amount of your prior contributory service credited to your current participation on a 1-for-1 basis. To apply for this kind of restoration, use the Restoration tab in your UNJSPF MSS account or submit Form PENS C1. If you elected or were deemed to have elected the deferred retirement benefit on or after 1 April 2007, then this restoration is required to be cost neutral for the fund. This type of restoration is advantageous only in a very limited number of scenarios. To get an estimate of the impact of this kind of restoration, submit the PENS C8 form, which is available on the fund's website, or can be downloaded from your UNJSPF Member Self-Service or MSS account. Once the fund confirms you are eligible to restore, They will provide you with an estimate of the contributory service period that restoration of your deferred retirement benefit would buy you, and you can decide whether to proceed. It is important to remember that there is a strict 12-month deadline to apply for restoration, counting from the date at which you requalified for UNJSPF participation. How to transfer pension rights out of and into UNJSPF membership? If you move between a UNJSPF member organization and an organization that is not a member of the UNJSPF, you may be eligible to transfer your acquired pension rights from one pension plan to another, provided a transfer agreement exists between the fund and the other organization and pension plan. Each of these transfer agreements sets out the specific eligibility criteria, conditions, and strict application deadlines. All existing transfer agreements are published on the fund's website on transfer agreements. For more information on these topics, visit unjspf.org.